So money in of itself is really boring. There's nothing to it other than it is what's called a medium of exchange. It allows you to get one thing from giving somebody else money, and allows us to sort of easily exchange and get resources for something. So if you want to do really cool things and have a really healthy and happy life, money is not the answer. That's not the end goal. What you need to think about is human beings and what human beings actually do to have a happy and healthy life. So what do we strive for as human beings, right? So you think about food, think about the human desires that we have, right? So one of them might be food. If you can live and eat sugary sweets that have a lot of high fat content in them, you're probably going to get some temporary pleasure from that. And that's okay. You want to aim to have some of those things from time to time. Now, the other thing is thinking about our human relationships. We strive to feel belongingness. That's a really important trait or something that we feel that we need. We need to belong to. Maybe it's our family, maybe it's our friends or part of a community. That's an important part of being human, is feeling that belongingness. So using some of that money to encourage and grow your belongingness is actually a really positive thing, right? So giving to doing charity, for example, or building so the whole reciprocity project right now, it's helping me feel a little bit more belongingness because I don't often feel that belongingness. So helping in making this a bigger thing is really an important part of my life. Another important thing that you might think about is health and fitness, right? Like being healthy is an important part, and you need to think about how can I spend my money that I have in such a way that it can be healthy and happy. So you spend some stuff on, maybe it's new shoes, for example. That's an important part. So what you want to look at is making sure that you're always happy and healthy along the way. With the money that you actually have, it's just another resource. You can exchange that for any number of things. You can exchange it for your time. You can exchange it for your property that you own. There's all sorts of things that money allows you to do just to exchange and to do really fun thyou And so what you need to be thinking about is not necessarily what is it that money actually does. Or what is it that having a lot of money, that's not the end goal often. What we want to do is think about how I can grow as a human being and invest in myself and in other people, the community around me, so that I can grow and become a happier and healthier person. It's this lifelong perspective, right? And that we face, one of the fundamental choices that we face is really challenging, all of us face, is the long-term versus short-term trade-off. This is pretty universal. We know of this. And it's hard for us to sort of imagine and think about these things. So things in the short term generally have very little return, but we do get a lot of pleasure from them instantly. Cigarettes, for example, alcohol, very short run benefit that we get, but it doesn't have a lot of long-term benefit from that. In fact, what ends up happening with a lot of these things, that removes from the long term. There's only a few things that I know of that can actually add benefit in the short term and make you feel good and have long-term benefits. The tried and true is going for walks, getting some fresh air, maybe going and having conversations and sort of doing some fun thing with family and friends that are around you. Something like that is going to have short-term and long-term benefits. But most things don't really have that in our world. And we have to sort of face this thing where we have to take away from the short term for the long term and invest in something in the long term. And that short term is generally it's painful when you do that. And so what you need to think about is not necessarily, this is where everybody gets mixed up, is the messaging that is often told is you have to sacrifice today for tomorrow. That's not necessarily true. What you want to think about is how can you make sure today is happy and healthy so that you can invest in something in the long term. And so you can keep growing as an individual. You can keep growing as a person in the long term. So what you're trying to do is minimize, just make sure that your life is happy and healthy when you're right now, so that you have money left over, you have resources left over to invest in something in the long term. And there's only a few ways that we could do this, right? To invest in the long term, to do really good things. One of them is sort of charity, or building something like this where you're reaching out. The Reciprocity Project, right? It's building for tomorrow. That's it. I can see this very much, growing and building for tomorrow. Education's another really important one that, it's not very comfortable today, but, in the long term, it has tremendous benefits. I'm not talking about like tomorrow. I'm talking about in 30 years. That's where the benefits actually come from. Now, investing in the stock market, it's another one. I'm not talking about the sort of sleazy investing that you might think about and picking and choosing stocks. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying investing broadly in all of the stocks in the stock market, in mutual funds and index funds. And what that does, it picks the best companies in the world and you're putting money with them. So you're picking all of the best people in the world that are working on cool projects. That's what a company is. That's what organization is. And you're giving them a little bit of boost because you think that they can do a little bit better than what they're doing today. And then hopefully in the future, you can get some of that value back from the boost that you've given them. And that's really it. That's the whole magic of it, right? And that's how things actually work. That's what we want to do with money, is not focus on the end all and be all of actually getting money. What we need to do is focus on how can I live a happier and healthier life. And if you do those combinations, right, various combinations, thinking about the short term versus long term, thinking about how I can grow at this moment that is pretty inexpensive in as many ways as I possibly can, and you do that repeatedly, time in and time out, time in and time out, and it compounds over and over and over and over and over again, it becomes this really miraculous thing. After you do this for 30, 40 years, all of a sudden you have a lot of friends and family that you enjoy being around. But not only that, the people that you're really with, you've built stronger bonds with. Because part of this is actually building stronger bonds with people around you, like actually investing and spending time and having conversations, being goofy, all of those kind of things are a really important part. So what you need to think about is not necessarily how I can get ahead today and make more money and all of that kind of stuff, but think about how can I actually become a better person? And how can I do that by gradually moving towards something in the long term? It's not a short-term thing. Nothing's going to happen in the next year. Nothing's going to happen in the next 5 years. But man, you do this for 10, 20, 30 years, thinking about how I can grow as a person and thinking about those little incremental things, a lot of stuff can happen. And it's really fun to see. And you see this a lot. All the time, is people don't give up on themselves. They realize that, hey, I could do this. There's lots of things I could pick up. I don't understand about personal finance. I pick up a book and I read this. I don't know about, health stuff. I start walking and I pick up a book, right? Like just really simple things go a long ways, and we forget about that. We think that we have to be some sort of expert in this particular area, or our end goal is to really focus on money and doing all that kind of stuff. That's not it, right? Organizations, companies that are well managed, that's not the end goal. And people that do good things, that's not the end goal. The end goal is to live a happy and healthy and comfortable life as long as they possibly can, and make everybody else around them, or as many people as they can, not everybody, as many people as they can, live a happy, healthy life where it's just pleasant, right? You don't have to be, every day doesn't have to be amazing, but you know that you're living a happy and healthy and fulfilled life as long as you possibly can. All right, take care and have a wonderful goal. Wonderful day. Bye.